Yo, my name is Antonio Carrara, and today we're going to be looking at Unleaden versus Snurgle. This VOD was really cool to watch. I've watched it a couple times now, and I kind of wanted to extend my knowledge into just looking at a bunch of different fleet players and kind of seeing maybe the patterns that I was noticing, so to speak. Um, there's there's a couple goals that I want to outline for this VOD review, and there's also a disclaimer that I want to put forward. So obviously, float is so fundamentally unique as a mechanic that I'm not going to be able to make many educated comments about it, right? I'm not going to be able to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, or be able to make groundbreaking assessments on it, because it is a new mechanic to me, right? So I might make redundant or wrong or maybe just kind of unhelpful points or analysis. But the general idea that I have to it, and this is pointing to one of the goals, is that the way I looked at it was by saying, like, okay, if I wanted to be good at Fleet, if I wanted to really learn it, like the way I've, been improving with Forsburn, right? And the way I, tried to get, have tried to get him to work in bracket, which, to minor successes, right? Like he can do pretty well most of the time. Um, what would I learn to try get my fleet to that Forza Run level or even beyond? Like, what would I if I wanted to become a solo fleet main, how would I do that and how could I maintain like, whatever rank that I want to get? That's the kind of things that, from me as a player, not from me putting myself in your shoes, right? So these are the things that I notice are just the things that I would generally value, or the things that I think would provide long-term value in learning, right? Um, Secondly, the second goal of it is to kind of work on not only your base mechanics, but just like different things that Fleet could possibly do. I kind of want to just showcase a couple of ideas that I thought were interesting. And a lot of those a lot of those ideas will be supplemented by this VOD, which I'll link in my what do you call it, in my Google Doc. And it's going to be two VODs. It's going to be the first one versus Sofilo here, and then the second one here is versus Elkeys. Sofilo top Zetaburn, Elkeys, you obviously know who that is. These are very interesting VODs. Honestly, I'd watch them just in case, you have any time on your plate. And I also don't want to make this VOD review too long, so I do want to jump into it pretty quickly. I feel like I'm enough of an introduction. So, jumping into the VOD here. Give me one moment. Cool. Okay, so jumping into this VOD, I want you to keep your mind on floor hugging and perhaps where you're not doing it, and just the general punish game. That I think these were the two biggest things that may have held you back in parts of the set. So when we think about, Fleet's strengths and stuff, her grab game isn't really top of the line, right? Her up for, if they don't DI out is actually quite good. And maybe there's fringe positions where if they DI out, they get put on a take chase. So it's actually less of a loss if they DI out. Um, but generally her grab game, I think, is pretty agreeably not amazing, but it's decent. It's probably above average in some terms because not a lot of grabs can even like Rano's obviously got a top tier for a game. Probably below that is maybe like Claren, maybe like Crag or something like that, right? Fleet maybe is like middle, maybe actually below average the more I think about it, but it's in general her throws aren't super. It was not the thing that I would optimize, is what I'm trying to say. That being said, I have been going into the practice tool and trying to optimize it. And I've kind of noticed a couple things. So obviously, you are right in that DIOA kills a lot of combos. That being said, if you do want some baseline stuff, this is always going to be able to work. This sour up air, and it's me just doing a buffered short hop up air immediately out of up throw. This is true in the sense that they can't air dodge or jump out of this in time, but it is a little bit tight because you have to buffer the entire thing within 6 frames of the ending part of it. And also, there's just not a lot of reward, right? So you are right in saying, like, look, I just want to go for the call out instead. And what KYB actually does is he just goes for this call out a lot. And, the worst thing they can do is wiggle out of hit stun, which is actually pretty strong, right? And then maybe, you want to catch that by doing an up air here. But yeah, in general, her throw game is not the greatest, right? I think her main strength comes from the fact that her moves seem to break CC actually pretty early. So at 30%, you're not going to be able to, right? Which is about maybe like 40% on other characters. But here, back here, we'll be able to break it. Up tilt doesn't break it here, and well, it does, but as you commented once, she's often too much of a low profile character to be able to really hit this as a floor hug. So generally at this percent, it's like, okay, back here, sweet spot breaks it, down air will break it, but the rest of your kit probably doesn't, except for obviously grab. Um, the way you get around this, the way I see a lot of fleets get around this is just by, in terms of if you don't want to interact with them, just do this, right? Forward air generally into drift back is a really safe way to do it because if they do this SSDI down tilt, or an even SSDI grab, you're going to be safe from it, right? As long as you just DI out and then you can, play the neutral game again. Obviously, this is pretty baseline stuff, right? But I think a more interesting way to approach it, especially at 0%, is by just trying to SSDI yourself. And this is a really common thing at top level play is that they've really optimized how to get these SSDIs, and it's something that I do quite a lot. So whenever I whiff a button or anything, I always add a SSDI to the end of my move, or just generally when I'm going to get hit, right? The way I do this is I don't actually really time it that much. I kind of just mash down. And there's two ways you could do it. You could just mash down, like I'm doing so here, or you could even wiggle your stick down if you feel more comfortable doing that. Personally, I don't, so I don't think I'd do that. But just know that if you're just mashing down, you can just get away with a lot. You can just time down if that makes you feel more comfortable though, like that. Obviously that was CC, but you get what I mean. Now, obviously your punish at low percent is probably still going to be grab, which is fine. And then I'd maybe go for an RTC if you can get good enough at that. But then again, her trying to catch a rollout is a bit tough, right? So yeah, I think the general idea is that you're always trying to get a an SSDI at the end of your aerials, and I think that's one of her strengths is that since she can get her aerials so low, she can always generally get an SSDI to the floor hug, right? And then maybe if you get like a advanced enough in it, you might even be able to do like this into like another float cancel there. I'm not good enough at it to do it, right? But you might be able to see the fairy there. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of testing to be done there. But basically, the general principle of it, I do this a lot with Rano. Just add SSDI to the end of your moves. You can be a lot more safe with it. And you can also do it here. That way you can be safe. Now, obviously, if you're at high percent, I'd play this way more carefully and I would just drift back, right? You might even be able to be more conservative with your nears to keep yourself even safer. But I don't know. I would generally do this, right? Or you could try cross up. That generally seems to do okay. Or you can obviously try to break CC, right? Now, obviously, as I said before, she seems to break CC fairly early. And that's because at around 35%, your nair starts breaking CC. So 34%. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you start breaking ACI down or CC, and that's just one more tool as well as up there, right? And then eventually you get on to like around, I think, 50%, and then I think your forward air last hit might be able to do some. No, never mind. Okay, that's probably more of a high percent tool. Probably around 80%, which is not low percent, but you take what you can get, I guess, with this game. But yeah, so generally her tools I think are pretty good to break CC in terms of like these aerial tools, especially because you can be very plus while you're doing them because you land so close to the ground. So I think that's one of her core strengths, right? And I'm sure it's maybe shared across in melee as well. Um, Now granted so that's the two things I'd work on, but let's see if you were doing any sort of SSDI, right? So we're seeing again, so no SSDI. Did we see a width there? Let's see. So with, I would then do an SSDI here, but then, US. Okay, dash tag. Do we see a down? Dash grab. All right. So here, dash grab, I would instantly just start mashing down because you're at low percent. You might even be able to ASDI down because it's a multi-hit, and I can't believe it. I can't imagine it would do that much damage. You could have SSDI'd that other one as well. A strategy I'll often employ when I'm trying to teach or coach is that I'll just keep pointing shit out, right? So I hope it doesn't become too annoying. Okay, you got the up tilt. Looking to couple with an air. Yep. Okay. You keep chasing afterwards. A strategy you can do here, it's very common in this matchup, is you want to arms attack or SSDI down tech the moment you land with an aerial. It's the same principle we just talked about. You do an aerial and then you instantly tap down, but now you hold shield, right? And it's really useful against not Snargle, but Maple because it forces them to go for dash grabs instead. So if you can just land and then just like your L canceling, right? You'll always be able to do a ground take and then you can punish really consistently. I do this a lot against Snargle. Okay, cross up. You did SSDI down, but unfortunately you were in the air, so you got caught in the middle of it. Near forward air will get you high recovery. Bit much, I think. I think you could have used maybe float. Oh no, you. I guess you didn't touch the ground, or you did. I don't know. A bit of an aggressive recovery. I would. Oh no, you did use float back there. I don't know. Never mind. I'm silly. Okay, tried to go for an early KO. You didn't get it. There's probably nothing you could do here. Okay, forward air. He gets the counter poke on you. Do you do an SSDI down tick? No, you don't get it. Do a forward air from here. Wave dash at shield. Alright, you do get a nair here. You withdraw from that situation. That's fine. You're not at the fun percent, right? So they're at 33%, which means they're 1% off, you being able to just do whatever you want with them. Um, let's see if this changes anything. So dash check, ugh, dash checks, yeah, unfortunate. Alright, you do get an air out. Yeah, not a bad F smash. I mean, you just call out an option there. Hmm. Hmm. Was there? Okay, so that was SSDI downable. SSDI down takeable. But I'm not sure if the risk reward. Okay, let's stall on that. Okay. So you got the back of there. So one thing that I notice, and I know we t joke a lot about Fleet Side B being bad. I think I notice top players use it a bit more, but I can't for the life of me remember how and when they use it, honestly. So hopefully you find something like that in the VOD. I'm not sure if they use it a lot more in neutral. They might do. And I think the reason why is just the mental stack of it, right? Because you're just using the first hit and then playing around. Will they parry? Will they not? Will they try get the parry out and then you grab them instead? Nice now. Try chase them up here. Now, this is an interesting part because we've gotten to the point where there are high enough percents where you can kind of generally convert an edge guard, which is obviously what she's best at, right? Is converting into edge guards. And I think we're seeing a kind of problem that I noticed is that if we created a heat map of your presence on the ledge, I feel like this would be especially green. You know what I mean? This specific area here. I didn't see you really cover that area with either invincible or just uninvincible nares. And I feel like it's something that kind of cost you a lot of interactions because I feel like you'd play it a bit safe and just do a back air or a down smash or a back dash safe smash that we saw here. So and hopefully I'll show better examples of what you could do in the set that I've cited. Nice up tilt into up strong, up tilt pretty good combo move. You had the right idea there. Unfortunately, you just kind of you got RNG'd actually, not RNG'd obviously, but you got clutched on by the platform there. That's very funny. Your down tilt probably is breaking CC very well right now, so you can definitely play a lot around your normals right now, which is nice to see. That down tilt even this down tilt might have been able to convert into an up strong there. Definitely could have been able to confirm into a nair. What I'm noticing a lot of the top players do is that whenever they get a knock up with fleet, they're generally converting into back air. Like they want to hit this back air here generally. I hope the VOD shows that. Um, Okay, could have been yeah, maybe lovely. I actually really like that. I feel like it's something that not a lot of Wellington players are really good at is getting hit and then wave dashing to a platform. That's oh wait no, you actually floated there, but that's a good idea to do is wave dash to a platform. And I'm sure you've looked at it before. That was nice. I do like. I've noticed float nairs out of disadvantage can be useful. I assume that might have been an attempted float something there. But this is interesting. I think that's pretty cool. Nice. Okay, okay. So this is a strong position, right? You've hit this forward strong. How do you convert off this? So you're on the ledge here. He goes for the low. So hmm, you're on the platform there. Sorry. So I'm just trying to see if that was a good idea or not, or if maybe there was better ideas to look at. Obviously, there's no real good ideas or objectively correct ideas, right? But I like that nair. That was actually a really nice nair. Okay, so F strong. I think maybe even wave landing on the platform here was a bit unnecessary because there's not a lot of reasons to be there, right? There's Maple. I mean, Maple could do a jump side B all the way across the top, right? Or maybe she will try go to the platform. But I think in general, you should have enough presence here to be able to cover this platform, and you shouldn't need to be on the platform here. I think something that could have been stronger would be looking for where their recovery was going to be by being off stage. As we're seeing this heat map already, you're still here when I think you could be more off stage, right? Um, Something that I see people do is that they sometimes will go see over here, and then if they're going low, they'll just run off, go to the bottom here, and float near to catch a someone going low, right? But even another thing you could do is just a dare, right? Like that's fine, go for it. Another thing you could do, which you kind of set yourself up for, but you didn't fully commit to, was going for a grabbing the ledge and then going for a nair here, so a drop ledge nair for an invincible nair. I feel like that's something you could have gone for. Um, and then another thing that we'll showcase is that you could have done special get up, and I think it's a really cool thing to go for, but you will see it later on. Nonetheless, you hit the neutral B and you manage to get a nair. Do you convert off this? So he goes low. I think the idea you want to do here is, well, let's see. What can you do? So you could do the easiest thing is obviously ledge drop now, like that, but that puts you in a terrible position. You could do that, which would be fine. I mean, obviously it'll be takeable, but it's not everyone's gonna take that. Or you could do that, right? And then set yourself up for a recovery afterwards if they do make it fast. And side note, you can also do wall climbing here to lose less resources. Um, but let's see what you do. Okay, you go for the roll. Um, Generally, ledge hogging it does work against maple. But it's honestly like kind of the last thing I'd go for if that makes sense, right? I generally kind of only look for ledge hogs against her if I know I've exhausted like half her kit, right? Here she had just about all of her resources, I think. Um, yeah, you took their air dodge out. They side bead. I guess actually you took their air dodge out, so you probably should have gone low for this actually. So now F strong. All right, you force the low side beat here. You convert off this. Yeah, and then you could have gone for the low, but assuming that you didn't know about the resources, they kind of get here. They can stall for so long, I feel like. Another thing you could do is you could punish the wall jump. That's what I did a lot. So you could do here. Sorry, not here. Here, they wall jump, and then you just go for a back air. And that'll probably beat out this up air. Or you could go for a nair, so it's faster, so you're kind of guaranteed to beat it out. Either way, I think the last option you want to go for here is a ledge hog. I kind of really rarely go for it, but just because of this. So I think being more active is more beneficial in this matchup, than looking for ledge hogs. If you are gonna hold the ledge though, we will see a really cool option is special get up, but that'll be in the VOD section. All right, so he gets back on stage. You cover the ledge pretty well. You get another nair. All right, he's back in. Does he go low again? Yes, he does. So again, you could have run down, maybe gone for a down air, but probably could just gone for an air. And he makes it back. Okay, nice scramble to look at. Okay, here, this should be absolute death. Nice. Okay, good. Just making sure. All right, nice movement, trying to bait something out. Down tilt. Ooh, I wouldn't look for down tilt here. Oh well, I mean, it's it's fine for a strike throw, I guess. You're not always gonna be hitting with moves at 0% that are comboing. In fact, you're probably never gonna be able to do that a lot of the time. Um, it's not bad in scrambles, I would suppose, the down tilt. I do think that forward air is one of your just using your float cancel arrows is just so useful here that I would really rarely look for your grounded tools. I think. One thing that I noticed KYB and Mystery Soul do a lot is that they'll do just short hop rising forward air constantly because they're looking for the previous mix that we were talking about, which is SSDI down taking. But they're also just looking to get people into higher percents or whatnot, right? Um, but also because you can just be really safe while doing it. She's one of the safest characters when it comes to beating CC, right? She can't usually beat it outright before then without a hard read, but she can deal with it quite well. Now, I do like that you found a really nice mark there. So you could have found it with Nair anyway, but then you covered an aggressive stage with that. You got the dash tag. You went for the down air, which I think is fine. That's good to go for. Here, I would grab the ledge, honestly, right? I think you might have had time to find the ledge, especially because you double jumped. And then I think you would have been able to punish the up B afterwards with a nair. I just want to kind of showcase that again. So if I was playing Fleet right here, right, I'd do that down air, and then I'd try grab the ledge, so that I can get involved frames for a nair. I'm not sure if that would have worked, but that's what I would have gone for. That's what I would have did. Again, as we saw there, you want to try cover your landings with SSDI or CC Tech. I just like to point it out to reinforce it. But yeah, here you whiff. You actually got a CC, and if you press shield, I think. Oh no, because you were CCing, so you might want to disregard it actually. But it's good practice nonetheless to try get the SSDI tech. Okay, you get the grab. All right, you get the special pummel, forward throw. Yeah, that makes sense. You could hold on to the throw longer, and then time it, but that's fine. All right, you get okay. So I've obviously talked about this a lot, but what Mystery Soul likes doing is that he likes hitting the wind chime on them and then looking for a down air. So I want to see if maybe you could have looked for something here. So you did that. That took a lot of their time. There's not a lot of things they can do. You should run off here and probably float. And then just react to what they do because there's not a lot of options where they can aggressively catch you on the ledge. And again, sitting here, being a bit green over here, I feel like you should just be floating over here when you get them here. I like the idea of side B off stage actually. Side B off, aggressive side Bs are kind of cool for Fleet to do, I think. Nice, fine. I'll tilt up here. Looking for the neutral B here. I'm sure that was intentional. I mean, I imagine you wanted resources. Okay, you get a down throw. Here it's probably correct to do F strong. Yeah. I mean, you covered the most amount of options basically. A little bit green on the ledge again. You did down air instead. Uh, so anyway, you got the down throw, F strong. Again, kind of playing allergic to the ledge here. I think if you just run off here and float, you can do a lot. Even if you don't go for the nair, as we'll see in one of the VODs. You can just float and then grab the ledge. Okay. Up B, that's fine, whatever. Yeah, and Strangle hits that, that's fine. Dash tag. Okay, not bad. Another thing you can do with dash tag is actually you can, if you want, if you think they're gonna play around the ledge too much, or if they're like kind of recovering around it a bit too much in terms of like, around it, you can throw out a dash tag here and you'll be able to catch them. Alright, you get a dash tag whiff punish. The parry comes out, he misses. Your backy doesn't come out, that's fine. He went for a forward air whiff grab. Forward air for Maple, doesn't actually true combo into dash grab at low percents, so maybe keep that in mind. Uh, so here I would try pressure with forward air after what I've seen. That forward air was kind of misplaced, I think. In general, you don't want to do the forward airs too low to the ground, I think, because you want to give yourself space to be able to drift back, right? From what I've seen from the top fleets is that they'll generally do float fares and then they'll just drift back. They don't actually land with the float fares a lot, unless they're looking for a mix up, right? Good take chase. Bad DI. Okay, hang on. Okay, no. Sorry, I was just making sure that this was game one. Okay. Back to the beginning. Okay, dash tag, yeah. Fortier, nice. That's a really good use of Fortier. I really like that. So the reason I really like that is because you're covering so many options, right? You're covering him looking for the Fortier, but you're also keeping yourself safe from SSDI, right? And you can also give yourself time to do SSDI. So actually, it's such a small interaction, but I really like that. I really like that flow cancel near because it gives you time for an option select, right? I really like this interaction. That's really nice. I think you should do this more, actually. And have float forwarders in this sort of airspace, more. All right, nice up throw. He slides out of the with the jump, up tilt near. Yeah, so I don't know if I brought this up already, but I think back air here is slightly better. I just think that at least from what I've seen from the top fleets, they love converting into back air a lot. Like if they can get an up tilt into a back air, they will go for it. And here they'll just do the reverse hit, right? You can just slide it in if you want. You don't need to go for the reverse back air. So you can just go for the reverse hit. Again, you got them off stage, right? You just run off. You know what I'm saying? Like you can just do the run off float nairs. It's kind of a cake assault staple of what he does, but um, yeah, like right here, dash tag, whatever, dash tag, cool, awesome. He could have SSDI deck, but whatever, that's fine. Just run off nair. I think you would have caught the side B. Well, probably not. You would have had to drop down with the nair, but you would have been able to catch the wall jump immediately after, right? So wall jump nair. Sorry. So you know this feels a little green right now. Cover it with Nair, right? Let's get the heat map going, sort of thing, right? All right, you got again. Uh, and I don't want to sound annoying, obviously, but reinforcement. Uh, you got them off stage with an F smash. After the dash tech interaction, you got the S smash here, right? You're dancing around the ledge here. You're kind of like, it's kind of like a dome almost. You're not really going past it, right? When you should be over here. And then you would have caught the side B, obviously. Up tilt, probably impossible to get it back here there. But nice forward air. Could it be a frame trap here? I don't know. That's more of a in the know thing. Okay, you make it past. He does a dash tech. You wave dash. Nice, not bad actually. Yeah, that makes sense. That was probably on SSDI-able. You might be able to get a back here there or a near here. Forward air is really nice. In fact, forward air confirms is something that we're going to be looking at in the VODs. Then you could have just run off near here because we are seeing him wall jump so quickly so often because you're not enforcing it, right? You're not punishing his wall jump with the nairs. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, here I don't know. There's not a lot of I don't find a lot of value doing rising aerials against the ledge. The only time I do them is if I really think they're gonna jump. But in these last sort of hit scenarios, I think throwing aerials landing at the ledge is a lot better, but that's a small point. We can talk about that later. Okay, back here. Strong there. Uh, yeah. I mean, just looking for the hybrids. Near here, again, green on the ledge. Run over here, near. You catch him doing this shitty wall jump. Back here, they would have killed. But obviously, near they're killed. Alright, let's skip ahead to the next game. Near. Okay, yeah, you get grabbed. That's fine. You jump out of that. Near. Lovely. Jab. Okay, now you got the strike pro going. Uh, Yeah. I would say don't bother telecanceling at low percent. I think at low percent, just go for jab grab mix-ups or jab one, two, three. One strong thing about having a third jab is that it means that you can play RPS with your first and second jab, right? Um, a really common thing to do is just jab grab, right? But another thing, a really good thing to do is jab jab grab or jab jab jab, right? It's a 50-50 at that point, right? A character like Rano can't really do it because his tilts don't break until around 30% to 30 to 50% for up tilt. But even then, it's generally too slow to ever string, right? So, a really good thing to do as a character with a third jab, like Zeta or Fleet, is by mixing up jab grab, or jab jab. Right? That's the RPS that I think you should work around a bit more. There's also jab runaway, which is an option you can go for, but it's there's more context under that. Okay, back here, nice. Now, cool. You're doing a lot of near dash attacks, I'm noticing. I'm not kind of sure. I feel like you're not really scaling the options well there because I feel like um it just wouldn't be that good. I don't know. I don't play the character that much, so I don't know. But this feels like a stranger option to me. You know what I mean? And again, I'm not seeing a lot of forward airs here, which I think are really good. At least from what I've seen of the mods. Green on the ledge. Was that an SSDI I saw from you? Also, unfortunately, we don't have a controller cam, right? So I don't know if you're SSDIing these whiffs. That was a nice whiff punish. I mean, it could have been grabbed, but, it's nice to get the dash tag at least. No, that wasn't SSDI. Okay, down tilt. Lovely. Yeah, you're going to be breaking SSDI at this percent. Uh, nice tick chase. He's off stage. He's running into you. Do you punish the cross up? You get a dash tag. That's not bad. You go for the S smash. Nice. Okay. Get it. Yeah. All right. We've obviously talked about this a lot. Here we can see if you just ran to the ledge, he probably did an instant wall jump. Yeah, here we go. Nair would have hit. Um, yeah, I'm seeing a lot of this float near dash tag. I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. I'm seeing a lot of dash tag in general, honestly. I'm not certain about that because I think it's probably, I mean, let's look here. So at least at 80%, it's gonna be fine. Let's see at 45. It's not gonna work. 60. Okay, yeah, it does break it decently. Seems like a lot of time to be able to get a tick though, but I don't know. I'm hesitant to comment on that because I don't play the character enough. Here you want to be so another really good function to floating in that general airspace is that you can react a lot better, right? You see it a lot with Zetaburn, but if you ran a float here, you could punish this cross up with a jump back air, getting the reverse hit, or an up air or an air or whatever. Looking for the nair there. Also important to comment that forward air now probably has a couple of combos you could look for. I'm not super familiar with them again, but again, holding the ledge a bit too much, I think. I mean, here it was actually warranted somewhat because you were catching the high, but I think that was more Schnurgle going high for the sake of mixing up, right? Than for the sake of you conditioning. You know what I mean? I feel like had you actually conditioned this, you would have had a lot more control, but I'm not confident that's what happened. I think he just went high. Okay, good neutral. Yeah, nice. Yeah, obviously I missed Nair. It's fine. Get sent up stage. Up till good covering yourself with shield, honestly. That's really nice. Okay. Yeah, I mean that could have been Nair, but obviously you know what happened there. He F tilts there. Get the recovery. Yeah, Nair dash attack. Seems like a sort of impulse. I'm assuming it's sort of a bit of like an insurance, right? Where if you hit it, you get a dash tag. If you miss it, you cover the dash back. I'm assuming that's the idea behind it. I feel like almost F tilt would be better, right? And the reason why is because if they miss the the tech, right, you can get just another tilt off it, right? But if they get an arms attack, or if they overextend, or if they shield it, you'll generally be fine because it's a tilt from over there, right? Obviously you play with tilt sticks. Yeah, maybe you're trying to do the tilts even, but I don't know. You could definitely just hold forward afterwards, during the end lag to try get it. Um, I think F tilt here might be higher value than looking for the dash tag. Because I feel like you could get punished by that a lot. But I don't know. I think a bit of a oh, I don't know. I'm gonna be hesitant to comment on that. Okay, he could have killed you there, I think, but it's fine. Nice neutral playing played. Good with punishes with S strong, honestly. That's a really strong part of your game plan right now. Yeah, that's fine. And that was an RTC, hopefully, I think. Well, actually, was it? I don't know. I mean, a lot of people think they can RTC, but a lot of the time it's just rolls being caught, and this was a roll in, right? No, it was a rollback. Yeah, okay. Uh yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest, I kind of cheese people doing tick options. I think if you just do neutral tick every now and then mixing up with the DI and the movement, you really catch people not reacting. Like I feel like you would have been able to shield it otherwise. Um, but yeah, there's not a lot of to comment on there. Could have done plat drop near, I think. I feel like you might not be doing a lot of run dash plat drops as well, which could be missing from your play. feel like you're running off of platforms instead of running down from platforms a lot. And I did comment on not doing jab combos earlier, and I feel like that is still well founded, because this could be SSDI'd so easily. Like you could, as long as you ASDI'd the first thing, and then he just mashed something, like it's so easy to break it, right? But if you're confident that you can get it, go ahead. I think he even been able to shield. You hit two of the oranges. Yeah, that's fine. That happens. Again, dash check. I feel like maybe like if you want to catch these overextensions, I feel like there's sometimes more value in just using F tilt. But that's just my brain speaking to try be as safe as possible, right? Let's see, like you get here, you get comboed, whatever, blah blah blah. You hit a forward air. You do jab. I don't know what your reacting scheme is here, so maybe you reacted that you missed the jab, and then you just wanted to catch the overextension. I'm not sure. But it's 40%, so it definitely could have been floor hugged. There's an interesting idea of getting the grab there, but it's okay. Hmm. Tried to go for a whiff punish. You make it past there. Try pressure the platforms. So another thing you could do if you don't want to go for the nair is do more side Bs an advantage, I think. Sometimes they do that with Fleet in top level. It's not all the time, I'll say that, but I think it's a way to do it if you really want to stay on stage. Nice, safe strong. Um, Not a lot of time to cover a lot of options there. And then, obviously you know what you did there. Okay. Now, from what we've discussed a lot, right? The idea that what we've seen for this entire set is that Schnurgle either goes mid or goes low, right? Um, at least that's what we've seen from the past. It's not bad to try cover those at this point, and I would say just go here and just react, right? You can go down low and call out the low recovery if you want. The safest thing to do is just go here, react. If he does do the high recovery, double jump back here. If he does go low, drop down and hit him with an air. Even if he's going to take that eventually, whatever, that's fine. That'll be a 50-50 you play later on. Um, but I would say just run off here, float, and react. And he goes low, right? So maybe you could have reacted and from here and then gone for the nair, especially because he seems to be wall jumping instantly out of them anyway. Obviously, I'm not really sure what he did there because he instantly tech, but I think there might have been an instant wall jump nonetheless. A thing you could be doing a lot more is you could be running through the platforms, and dropping in the middle of them to get your aerials out, diagonally. I feel like I'm not seeing you do that. Like right there, right here, you could do run, drop, near, and it would have been able to catch this up there. Um, Granted, this might be insane recency bias, right? In terms of like watching a video and just assuming what you do. Okay, he gets a conversion on you. Okay, you get paddled. That's fine. I'm assuming it's going to be a bit of a sweep now, but I kind of want to look for any clutch moments that could have happened. Okay, he gets out of that. That's good neutral, dude. Holy shit, you're such a seasoned player. Like that's actually really nice. I really like the like this like just right here, like it's so safe. It's so nice. Like you're covering him going low, and then you're insurancing yourself with the shield. Like that's really obviously it's so small, but I think that those interactions I think are really cool. And then an SE. That's so good. It happens. All right, next game. This is not the final game because there's another game after this. I think this is one of the closer games actually, if I remember correctly. Uh, so you started out a bit dire, but you actually got a lot done after this. Uh, okay, here we go. So 20%, whatever, blah blah blah. Yeah, you get put there, that's fine, whatever, who cares? You could be maybe doing more wall jump neutral B reverse, wall climbing, but that's nothing too spectacular. No, not a lot of top players focus on that. There, I would have liked to seen you go for a strike throw mix up after the nair, because it's just kind of a beast thing to do, instead of looking for the dash tag, which could have definitely been floor hugged. Nice whip punish. Obviously that guy was in the air, so dash tag makes sense. Nice back here. Okay, if I'm a top player, I probably look for up tilt here, or maybe just another back here. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. Maybe would have been able to combo that into grab, but I'm not sure. Okay, back here. Yep, back here, here. Okay. Do you, a lot of people platform this, shield there, so I just go for a waveline grab. Back here. Okay, cool. Nice. Actually, we're seeing you go off stage, so that's actually really nice. Not in maybe this would have covered like a jump get up, so I'm a big fan of this actually. I'm happy that you went for this. That was too far. So what? You hit them here. Something happened here. You got the back here somewhere here. Here we go. And then you look for maybe like a still position or something like that. I kind of like the idea. I still think that um if you placed yourself in a spot to get the oh, hang on, let me not waffle. Let me specifically talk about this. Okay, so yeah, I guess that was kind of hunting for the double jump, right? Which I think is a little greedy, but I guess you could maybe make a guess that he's gonna play greedy, so that's fine, you know? Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ. Snuggle. Okay. Make it over there. Okay. You send it over there. That's fine, because you probably have enough time. Yes, lovely. He DIs out. Again, I just go for the float here, go there, and then maybe Nair to punish the double jump. I think he might have SD'd there. I think he could have actually lived, but he was probably just a bit in shock that he didn't die instantly or something. So there, you could have SSDI'd, you were low enough percent. That's another thing we were talking about, obviously, throughout the set, is covering yourself with SSDI. Mm, nice jab. I like these landing arrows that you're doing. They're all breaking CC at this point, basically. The dash check again, yeah, yeah, I'm more of a fan of F tilt in these situations, I think. Dash check, yeah, okay. Okay, okay, here, top players would convert into back here. What do you do? Up here again? Yeah, I mean, that's fine, but I think back is more valuable here. At least, against fast fallers, because just send them off stage is just so valuable here. Okay, you get this? Okay, what do we do? Ideally, run off stage, float. Yeah, we play a bit too passive here on the ledge. But you get it back here. Nice. I like that you were planning for the strike throw there, but unfortunately you just misinputted float cancel there, I imagine. Okay. Yeah, alright, he gets that conversion. That's fine, whatever. Tries to fish for a little bit more. You were pretty safe, which is nice to see. You escaped disadvantage. Obviously being green here. Nice whiff punish. Forward air, didn't convert into anything, that's fine. I'm kind of speeding a little bit through this because, we've seen the things that I'm definitely homing in on a lot. but we're just kind of rapid firing through them. There's some notes on maybe converting into forward air here somewhere. I'm not really sure how you'd find it right now. Maybe in these offstage scenarios, you could just be throwing out forward air a little bit more, against the ledge, or maybe not against the ledge, but against the recovery a little bit more. So you can try look for these conversions, like over here. Maybe you could forward air there instead of here. In general, if you're going to pressure the ledge, I think maybe going for a forward air here is a little bit more valuable. Okay, that's fine. It happens. You fall out. Yeah, landing arrow, tough. Okay, getting the whiff dash tech. Bit of a greedy ledge trap. Uh, I think, honestly, I think throwing out smashes or any attacks against the ledge is almost useless a lot of the time because ledge dash just beats it. I think a lot of times when you do the F strong against me, me especially, I always look for the parry because I feel like I kind of always get it. If you do want to beat me though, if you want to take a cheese stock off me, you can just hold it and wait for me to parry and then just kill me because I always look for the parry there. But if I'm planning super safe, I can just shield it, right? I think charging smash attacks is really not useful against the ledge. Here, I would just say, just go in and parry the Lily, honestly. It gives you more value than charging a smash attack does. Okay, now, again, could have been more green. Caught the now. Well, could have been more red. Yeah, that's fine. That happens. I'm also noticing the time and it is 3 a.m. So I don't want to speed through it though, so I do want to like just check out stuff. Yep, now up tilt, that's fine. Good disadvantage play. Ooh, bit of a greedy double jump, but that's fine. Nice, good safe play. Good recovery. Can't convert into that, that's fine. Floating out here. Maybe could have found a better angle there, but that's fine nonetheless. Putting out a side beat, that's good. Just make it off stage off you. Could have gone for a grab there, but that's fine. Looking for a bit too many. Well, dash check starts breaking CC at this point, but that's fine. Yeah, that's whatever. Whatever. Alright, cool. Getting F strong there. Okay, nice down tilt. Again, go for back here instead, I think. Nice roll back here. Okay, down B. That was a nice down B, actually. You kind of moved past them. By the way, if the commentary is getting a bit stale, feel free to fast forward if you haven't already been. Oh, that net, that thought I might have been able to get something off it. Uh, yeah, I mean, now, right now we're kind of just seeing the repeating observations that we found, right? I mean, that's what a set is, right? And I feel like a lot of it is that Um, Schnargle's just getting away with a lot more than he should be, especially off the ledge, right? In neutral, I feel like you're mostly playing it fine. I think there's a couple things that you could be doing a little bit better with in terms of SSDI, but honestly, a lot of the time it's actually just completely fine. I think if even, you may even be like winning more interactions on average. You could be, like right there, you could have SSDI tech, but in general, I feel like your neutral isn't like, the biggest reason why you lost the set, right? Although obviously it does contribute to some degree. Like I feel like sometimes you were a bit mashy on dash attack right now. And I feel like maybe you weren't playing around like the floor hugging enough. But yeah. Okay. And then he gets that. That should have been deaf on his part, but then he gets rewarded. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. That was a good set. Like, don't let me shadow it out. I was actually a really big fan of that set. Because I feel like you did play very, very well. Sorry, I've got OCD, so I just need to uh do this real quick. So yeah, now we're gonna be looking at the VODs of top player VODs, just kind of stuff that I noticed, and stuff that I want to pick apart. The first thing I want to pick apart is where is it? Over here. Okay, cool. So the important things. So here, what did I label this? Float delayed showcase. So, oh, this was very interesting. So what KYB was doing a lot in this set is that they would float the ledge here and then either commit to an edge guard or just grab the ledge, which I think was very interesting. And then we saw a nair there, where he did a double jump nair to try to cover some stuff. And yeah, no, I just thought that was a very interesting way to use float. Special get up combos. This was very interesting. Now against Sofilo as well, she did this, but in general, if they wanted to edge guard, they would sometimes instead just grab the ledge, press special, or I think this is special get up. I don't think it's get up attack, and then they would convert this into a back air. And just to show that fully, yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Okay. Near invul. This isn't, breaking new ground, but it's just showing that they top players also like going for this. Never mind, that was the completely wrong clip. That was actually a fair confirm, so I guess I've just lost that clip to time. But yeah, this fair confirm clip was pretty cool. Covering the ledge, in terms of the whiff punish, I guess. Getting the last hit into the float cancel back here. That was gangster. So we don't need to look at it. Fair confirms there. Fair and neutral. I think this was very interesting. Also just an amazing stock afterwards, by the way. But they look for the fair to beat out Fireball, which is insane. I didn't know you could do that. Um, and then they convert into just this beautiful edge guard right here, which I'll just let it speak for itself. But they're reacting a lot to the downbeats here. You might be able to bring this in your sets against Alistair. Special get up, back here, floating, putting yourself in a position to react, seeing this, back here, going back to ledge, running back in, float, forward air to try call out a low recovery, and then covered the recovery over with a nair. I mean, it's just beautiful, honestly. Like this edge guard sequence was marvelous. I would heavily watch this set. And then some miscellaneous things I kind of found. These two were very interesting as well. So one option select you can do against Zetaburn, if you're ever watching playing against Alistair, is that out of shield you can do a grab and then a down input, and then you just do grab plus SSDI, right? And it covers a bit of options. So right there, she was actually safe from the up smash. And then down B out of disadvantage was actually an option I saw her do quite a bit. Or him actually. Sorry, that's KYB, which was very interesting. So sometimes in low percent situations, he would SSDI down B, which I think is very interesting. And might be something to look at. Like right here, even like in this pressure sequence, they were able to get a down B to avoid. Never mind, I thought it was on shield. Okay, I'm a bit silly. Nope, never mind. There it was. So they did it on the hit, they did down B, and then actually looking at the frame data, she actually moves away pretty quickly. So I don't know. All right. In any case, this recording is probably gone far too long at this point, and I'll be uploading it all through today. I hope this helped. Um, the main things that I want to take away, the summary is that I think you should be more active next to the ledge, or just at floating at ledge. You don't always need to be reactive because some recoveries are not always reactive, but you need to be floating there to do anything, right? That's step one, and then you branch off from there. I think too often you're playing too passive on the ledge, where I feel like you could have just stuck yourself next to the ledge or grabbed the ledge, right? And there's a lot of sequences you could develop from that. Um, just to keep the edge guard going. I do notice that whenever you do go for edge guards, I feel like sometimes you're a bit too aggressive, instead of reactive, or I just feel like you're not utilizing float as much as you could be in those situations. But nonetheless, I feel like you should just stick to the side of the ledge a little bit more. In terms of neutral, try use floor hugging a little bit more to cover yourself. I think there was times where you didn't need to be hit or juggled, aside from being anti-ed, or ear to ear. So I feel like, try cover yourself in CC or floor hug or whatever you want to call it. And then just time shield inputs whenever you can when you're doing that so you can get the random arms attack or SSDI attack or whatever you want to call it. Other than that, it was still a really good VOD. You played some really good neutral. You had really good fundamentals going into that. Some really nice whip punishes. And I hope this helps. If there's anything I can clarify, let me know.